Good afternoon. My name is Stacia Matthews, and today I will be discussing Vygotsky's theory and how it applies to classroom applications. Vygotsky's work is based on two key ideas. He proposed that intellectual development can be understood only in the terms of the historical and cultural context children experience. He believed that development depends on the sign systems that individuals grow up with, the symbols that cultures create to help people think, communicate, and solve problems. His theory and concept. The theory suggests that learning precedes development, meaning the development occurs as a child internalizes signs, like information from others, to be able to think and solve problems without the help of others. The concept of the zone of proximal development implies that only instruction and activities that fall within this zone can be learned. Vygotsky's theory states that when teaching content that is too easy or too difficult, it does not add to learning. His concept of the zone of proximal development is based on the idea that development is defined both by what a child can do independently and what the child can do with assistance from an adult. Vygotsky's approach and belief. His approach is that teaching must emphasize scaffolding, with students taking more of the responsibility for their own learning. His belief is that learning takes place most effectively when children are working within their zone of proximal development. The following components of Vygotsky's theory include private speech, the zone of proximal development, meditation, scaffolding, and cooperative learning. In private speech, Vygotsky proposed that children incorporate the speech of others and then use that speech to help themselves solve problems. In his zone of proximal development, Vygotsky believed that learning takes place most effectively when children are working within their own zone of proximal development. For meditation, Vygotsky believed that complex skills such as reasoning and problem solving are developed via meditation with adults and higher performing peers. Scaffolding is helping with a great deal of support by more competent peers or adults, and it provides hints and prompts at all different levels. Cooperative learning. Vygotsky's theory supports the use of cooperative learning strategies in which children work together to help one another learn. It can be planned with a group of students at all different levels. When applying Vygotsky's theory to the real world classroom, as a teacher, we must know that what our students' current level of knowledge is. And that just means like where they're at, their growth, by using all the data that we have obtained through assessments and just being with them in the class daily and knowing what they can and cannot do. So once we know their current level, we know how to group those children. And so I think this is I think cooperative learning and scaffolding is very good to use within the classroom because it allows children, when you put them at different levels, to learn from those that have a higher level of learning or has retained the information better than they have. And then children learn from children. So I think this is a good idea. We must also encourage group work because a lot of kids like to work individually. And even in my class now, they be like, can I work alone? And I'll be like, no, this is a group activity, and you get graded on today for how you participate in class. So I encourage them to try to work together because working together is an awesome tool to use within the classroom. I try not to offer too much help, but at the same time, I ask meaningful questions. We have students think aloud because when they think aloud, they are more prone to being able to understand what they're feeling or what they're thinking. Okay. And also, as a teacher, applying this to the real world, we need to plan activities that will not activities that are only have our children that our children are capable of doing on their own, but also what they can learn from the help of others. So if it's something that they're really having a hard time um, getting a grasp of, if we group them with a child that has grasped that skill, then they're more likely to learn from that peer once they watch them do it or do it. So we just need to make sure that we're planning activities that will allow them to be able to learn from others. So these were just some strategies that how we could apply Vygotsky's theory into the real world. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.